and welcome to episode 42 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet and making all the things here in East London. You can find me online on Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab, you can find our group there as well. I always post quick links to everything I mention in the description box below, but I also do full show notes as well, which I host on my blog, and the links to absolutely everything, they'll be just down there. I would like to say a massive welcome to any new viewers. I really appreciate you giving the podcast a shot. And to my returning viewers, thank you so much for coming back. So this week's tea is a bit of a twist on my old favourite. This is a French Earl Grey from T2. We had a friend come to stay last weekend and he brought this box from T2, which is 20 Adventures, and it's got 20 different flavours of tea in there. And there's a few fruit teas that I will try, but Rich will probably end up drinking because I'm not crazy about fruit teas. But there's some really nice looking black and green ones in here. The New York breakfast sounds great, which is black tea with cinnamon and vanilla. But the French Earl Grey, I will read it to you, is black tea with natural and artificial flavouring, hibiscus, sunflower petals, rose petals and mallow flower. And the great thing about these, I will probably get another box of these when this is finished. So this is the French Earl Grey packaging, and it tells you on the back how long you need to brew it for and how you can enjoy it. So this is perfect on its own, so I haven't actually added any milk to it. That is springtime in a cup. It tastes like a very gentle Earl Grey. It's not too heavy on the bergamot, and it smells kind of like a meadow of flowers, which I know sounds really ridiculous, but it just smells just really fresh, and there's a kind of fruity floral smell, but it doesn't taste too floral, which I really appreciate because, again, not crazy about super florally flavours. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that because I think that's a really good idea, and I didn't actually know that you could get these, which is pretty cool. It is a nice box, so it goes in our cupboard and looks quite nice, and I've had about 4 of these so far and they've all been really delicious. And they've got a really nice sleep tight tea that I might try tonight. The tummy tea is really good too. So yeah, I recommend getting yourself an adventure box because they're quite fun. One more thing that I wanted to mention before I dive into the podcast proper is the ReKnit Cow. So yeah, it was a bit off kilter last episode, but I have launched it. It launched on the 17th of March and it will run to the 18th of May. There is a thread in the group with all of the rules and everything stated there, but essentially you knit or crochet something that you've already knit before. Let us know why, let us know your progress. Let us know if you're making any modifications this time, and it's just a way of just enjoying re-knitting a pattern you really enjoyed the first time and sharing with us a pattern that we might not have heard of before. So yeah, do go check it out. The hashtag for it will be on the screen as well, and I will actually get around to posting some stuff to my Instagram soon. Every time I stop, I've been doing a lot of life admin while I'm not at work at the moment, and every time I stop it's very, very dark out, so I never have the time to take really nice photographs, but I am going to try and do it in the morning, and I will be sharing with you some progress on my re-knit projects. But now let's move on to Whipped Up. I also have a glass of water on the go, just because I don't know if you can hear, but I've gone very, very husky after Edinburgh Festival. My throat, I'm still kind of got a bit of a cough, so I'm just trying to keep as hydrated as possible. So these past couple of weeks I've been kind of all over the place with my projects. I haven't done any work on pavement despite the fact that it has come with me everywhere. I have finished the body, so I'm just at the shaping for the bottom of the body, and it's just not been conducive to what I've been doing. I've been spending a lot of time with people, doing a lot of social knitting, and so it just hasn't been conducive to that, unfortunately, which is a shame, but I will get back to it. It's not going into permanent hiatus, it's just finding some quiet time. My crochet blanket has therefore seen a lot of work, and it's moved into this bag, which I've had for years. I actually bought this when Rich and I were living in Watford back in 2013, like well before the podcast, so I don't actually remember where I got this from. And the zip is kind of broken, it doesn't zip up properly in the middle anymore, so it's just kind of living in here whenever I take it out and about, but mostly it's living on a little table in our living room, which is really nice. So yeah, I'm not gonna open it all the way, but you can see I've put a little bit more progress on it. This is so mindless. I don't know what I'm gonna do when this is too big for me to take anywhere when I'm socialising, because this is perfect. I worked on this at the little knit night we had at Edinburgh Festival, and it was fantastic. So yeah, that is my crochet blanket, which you have seen about 1,000,000 times and you'll continue to keep seeing, so I'm not going to show it too much. I might do what Amy did and kind of show it periodically so you can see big chunks of progress rather than like I did one row, because it's quite wide, so it takes a while. It grows, you know, incrementally rather than in massive chunks. So I might only show it to you every other podcast. But yeah, my beautiful magic ball is getting quite small, so I'm gonna have to start thinking about doing something with this, because I've got all those minis from Unravel and Stitches, and yeah, I need to get those knitted and crocheted up so they're not taking up any stash space at the moment. Because I did go and throw myself into a friend's D-stash this weekend, which I'm not going to go into this week. I will save that for next episode, because this episode I want to talk about Edinburgh Yarn Festival. But yeah, I definitely need to... I'm looking over at my little corner at the moment, and I definitely need to get some storage solutions figured out fairly soon, because you know me, I like things to be tidy, I like them to be labelled, and I like to have, you know, this drawer is for stash with projects in mind, and this drawer is just for the stash that is inspirational, and this is whips, and you know, this is just how my mind works. Next up, living in my Dumbledore's Army bag that Single Strand Studios sent me, is, let me get it out and show you. This is my Kerrytown pullover. I'm calling it my Kerry 1 because it is the first one from my Make 9 project. And last time I showed it to you, we had lovely squishy ribbing, and now we've got a little bit of the cable panel started. I really should be showing you about 20 rows of this cable pattern, but unfortunately I ripped it out twice, I think I ripped back to the ribbing twice, just because I'd been doing it in the evening and I wasn't very happy with how neat my cables were, and I knew I wasn't going to be happy 20 rows later, so I just ripped back and tried to be a little bit more mindful of what I was doing. And I'm quite happy. I don't know how well it'll show up because it's quite a dark red, but I'm quite happy with the cables. The only thing I will say is with the pattern, the instructions are spread out across several pages. So you've got the instructions for the front, and then you've got the central cable chart, and then you've got another cable chart, and they're spread out across 3 sheets of paper. And for me, every time I go to work on it, I kind of feel like maybe I should just spend an hour recharting this, charting it and bringing all 3 pieces of information together into one chart. Maybe that's what I should do. I haven't done that because I don't want to spend an hour of my knitting time doing that. But yeah, I do wonder if that would make it easier, because at the moment I'm having to kind of lay them out across the coffee table, and then be, you know, like working across 3 different pages, which kind of, it gets under Rich's feet a little bit because he's there squished right to the end of the coffee table, like with his drink, and you know, he's just like, okay, I've got no room here. So it's not ideal, and it's not very portable because of that. I was going to do some on the train to EYF, as I said. I was like, it's good, I'm going to get loads of the cabling done, and unfortunately, you know, there just wasn't the space. I was like, my knees were up to my nose most of the time on that train, but we're going to come to that, we'll come to that. But yeah, so I didn't get as much done on that as I wanted to. I am using my Katrinkles Stitches West stitch markers, these are little sweaters, and this one says Stitches West 2018, and this one's got the state of California. And my nan, bless her, had this little toadstool, and it's a progress creeper? It's a progress creeper. So I just popped that on there so I'd know I was on the ribbing before. And I love toadstools. She gave it to me because I bought a load of them to go on our Christmas tree. I just think they're so gorgeous. I love them. Fly agaric. Love them. I have got out my Spool Stories project bag again, and I am very, very happy to say that I am working on my Selbu mittens again. This is the wrist, so I finished that. I did that on Friday night while I was staying at my mum's. Basically, I wonder if I've got them here. Yes, I do. When I originally started my Selbu mittens last year, I picked up a pair of the Addi brass needles because I hadn't tried them before, because I didn't have the right needles for Magic Loop. My ChowGoo interchangeables were all in use, so I thought, well, I'll try a new pair of needles. That's generally what I do. If I need a new pair of needles for a particular project, I will try and get a pair that I've never used before. So that's exactly what I did with this. And I didn't mind the cable was fine, but these needles, I will probably be popping these in the charity box. I just could not get on with them. Originally they were fine, they were quite smooth, but over time they've kind of tarnished, as brass does, and they just have that kind of almost sticky feeling that they've got quite a lot of drag on them, which I don't like. I really, really like my ChowGoos because they just zing along, I love them. And you just don't have that kind of same, like I'm running my hand along them now, there's a lot of drag. They've also tarnished where I had the stitches on them, which is a bit worrying. And also, brass smells. It's not an unpleasant smell. It reminds me of when I was younger and I volunteered at the church to do brass cleaning, back when I went to a Church of England school, and it's not an unpleasant smell, but it's just not very nice to work on. And I noticed when I started working on them again that the yarn smelled like brass. Still does a little bit, and that's not nice either. So while I was at Edinburgh Yarn Festival, this is kind of a spoiler alert for my Edinburgh kind of recap, I decided to treat myself to some of the Leek Air needles, because, as I say, I've got my ChowGoo interchangeables. I bought them in 2014? I think it was 2014. I've got more tips for them because they're fantastic and I really like the packaging. If you have seen Amy of Stranded, Dye Works and podcast, she has recently done a needle review for interchangeable needles, and she even agreed with me and said that the ChowGoos were her favourite. The packaging's great, I love them. However, I do like working with wooden needles because they're so tactile, they're just lovely. And I did have some Knit Pros. Is that the rainbow one? I had those and I didn't really like them. They broke quite easily. I found they weren't always as smooth as I would like them, and the join was not always ideal. But I did watch her interchangeable cable review, and I decided I really wanted to try these because they're very, very expensive to get the interchangeable set, but Amy was raving about them and I thought, you know what, I will give them a go, because if I really like them, I can ask for some money for Christmas, or I can save up, treat myself, etc. Because I do want to clear out some of my needles. As I've been saying, quite regularly, I want to tidy up my stash area, and I would love to have just 2 sets of really nice interchangeable needles, maybe a few extra hat needles, but that's a random tangent, Nikki, come back to the point. So yeah, I bought these at Edinburgh Yarn Festival to try them out, and I love them. The yarn is the Knitting Swede, and it's 100% superwash BFL, and it just is beautiful on these needles. They are so smooth. This join here is just, you barely notice it. They're lovely to work with. It's so nice to have wooden needles because they feel so warm and good in your hands. They knit beautifully. They've just got the right amount of pointiness for me. The only thing I would say is the cable is not as good as the ChowGoo cable. The Chalgu cable obviously has that core of metal and it's got no memory and it's fantastic. So yeah, I do think their cables could be better, but for the time being, I am going to be knitting both my mittens on these. I, spoiler alert, have some more mittens coming up and I do intend to get leakers to knit on those. I might even have a go at sock knitting with them as well. So I'm going to give them a really good try before I invest in them. But so far so good. I'm really, really happy with them. I'm so glad to have this back on the needles. Yeah, I'm just really happy with it. It's a bit lumpy and I've decided not to be such a perfectionist about it. And I'm just going to finish it and then I'm going to make the second one and then I'm finally going to give them to my poor Nan, who was supposed to have them for Christmas. Totally didn't get them, but she'll have them ready for next Christmas instead. I have put my bag that Rachel of the Crafty Historian sent me back to work, and also another toadstool. I found this little enamelled, you probably can't even see it, I don't know why I'm showing it to you, Fly Agaric toadstool, and I popped it on there, which I really love. And this is what I cast on from kind of my social knitting while I was at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. This is also my first contribution to the ReKnit Cow, because this is the Graham hat by Jennifer Adams, and I've knit this twice. I knit one for Rich several years ago now, I think it was like 2015, or maybe 2014, it was a while ago, and I also knit one during my hat kick last year for one of my friends. Him and his wife had gone away travelling and I knit them both a hat, and I knit him the Graham hat in some Madeline Tosh. And I have knit this one in Willow and Lark Ramble, and the colour is 104. They've also randomly got a little facts on the inside about England, which is hilarious. Did you know the Lake District only has one lake? Who knew? But yeah, I went for this kind of really nice soft grey. I had it in stash. I kind of thought I might make some wrist warmers out of it, and then I thought I really like working on hats. Gonna knit a hat. I am knitting this to donate to shelter. Amy mentioned on the Stranded podcast recently that she is going to be knitting a few hats and donating them in the winter, which is, you know, I always feel like I shouldn't wait till next winter, because last weekend it was snowing when I got back from Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and there are a lot of people, you know, out and about. I live in East London, and along the high road there were a lot of people out in the snow, and it was really, really horrible. And you can do what you can to help, but you know, this feels really tangible. So I might knit a few and donate them, and then over the summer I'll donate the rest in the winter. But yeah, this is a great pattern. I've knit it 3 times now. I'm gonna start doing the decreases today, so hopefully that'll be finished soon. I'm just really happy with it. It's just a really nice grab and go project. It's got a nice squishy texture. The Ramble knits up really beautifully. I'm using it for my Kerrytown pullover as well. It's a nice plump yarn, and it's 100% wool, so it should hopefully keep someone nice and warm. Again, I'm using one of my Stitches West Katrinkles stitch markers, a little sock one. So yeah, these make me really happy as well. One more thing before we move on to our Edinburgh Knit and Natter. I got to spend some time with the lovely Katie and Amy this weekend. I think I mentioned last episode that Katie and Amy had sent me a little care package. Included in said care package, along with biscuits and treats and all good things, was a fantastic, beautiful skein of Amy's Naive watercolour colourway. And I decided that I wanted this to be my colour affection that I was knitting for myself. I loved knitting it for my mum so much, I wanted one for me. It inspired the ReKnit Cow. So I asked Amy if she would be able to hook me up with a couple more colours for my colour affection. And Amy, being the absolute sweetheart that she is, I saw her yesterday and she delivered me 2 beautiful skeins. They're so lovely, and they make me really happy that they're basically going to get cast on tonight. It's still the Oasis based. Don't baste your yarn, okay? Gravy and yarn, they don't work together. Don't baste them. The base is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. It's the fingering weight. And this is Pinata, which is, I mean, it looks great on her website and when she shows it on her podcast, but like, this is just bonkers how beautiful it is. It's neon and just delicious, and I love it. And then I went for a neutral, again in the Oasis, and this is First Frost, which is the most delicate, beautiful, I'm gonna say silver, because this is not grey, this is silver. This is Silver Fox, I love it. So those two are going to go into my colour affection alongside my Naive watercolour. Isn't that just beautiful? Look how gorgeous that is. It's just, oh, it's so good. I think I'm going to start the main wedge with the Naive watercolour. This is very much my colours. I love my mermaidy, seasidey blues and greens. I love that. And then we're going to have the pink striped in with it, and then we're going to throw in the grey. I don't yet know if I want to do the grey first and then stripe in the pink and have the pink as this like the slash of colour at the bottom. I think I might do that. I might do that. I might do that, because then it just makes more sense with the neutral, doesn't it? Oh, I don't know. I'm going to play with it. You'll see it next episode. I'm just so looking forward to balling these up later and just casting them on, because it's a great pattern. It's by Vera Valimaki, totally inspired the ReKnit Cow, and I love it. If only I had a ball winder. I've got a Swift, but I will just have to stand there hand winding it, which is fine, but I just kind of want to cast it on already. Right then, now that I've decided that I'm not going to, oh, my little yarn badge is upside down, there we go. Now that I've decided I'm not going to share my stash dive with you, there's loads to show you, and I just wanted to kind of separate it out and make this my post-Edinburgh thoughts episode. So that's it for Whipped Up, and I will, you know, stop teasing you in the next episode, and I'll show you all the beauties that I picked up in my D-stash next week. But let's move on to Knit and Natter. Oh, Edinburgh. Let's talk about Edinburgh. You may have noticed that a video didn't go up about Edinburgh. Side note, it hasn't gone up about Stitches either, because I really struggle to edit vlogs, and finding the time to sit down and really like crack on with that Stitches video just hasn't been there. I am working on it. It will go up at some point. I'm sorry. But yes, Edinburgh. I had a very clear plan of what I wanted to do, and it just wasn't on my side. I went there for a very whirlwind trip, and because it was so whirlwind, I just wanted to be there. I wanted to be with the people that I love, my dear friends, the people that I hadn't met before, and I wanted to be fully there and engaged. If I'd been at the festival more than one day, I probably would have spent the second day running around doing like little interviews with stall holders and like meeting people and filming, but I just didn't have the time. So that's why I didn't go too bonkers with the filming in Edinburgh, and I actually remember going around the marketplace trying to talk to Katie while also filming, and I just went, you know what, I'm just not going to do a vlog. I'm just not going to do a vlog. And it was this thing of like, but you have to do a vlog. If you're a podcaster, you have to do a vlog for every event you go to, and you can't not do a vlog. And I just thought, but I'm not. My friend's talking to me and I'm staring at a camera and going, and that's not cool. So I put it away, and after that initial panic, I did feel quite relieved and quite happy. So yeah, that is why there's no dedicated Edinburgh Yarn Festival vlog. So I'm really sorry. If I go next year, I'm hoping to go for minimum 2 days to the festival, and also spend an extra day just wandering around Edinburgh, because I love it there. It's so beautiful. One of our friends lives in Glasgow, so I suggested to Rich that maybe I could go up, do the Yarn Festival, meet him, and then we could go on to Glasgow, make a little bit of a holiday of it. So yeah, we will see. Maybe next year I'll even pluck up the courage to apply to be an official podcaster. So wish me luck. But let me tell you the story of Edinburgh. So I got up early on the Thursday morning, and I got ready, and I headed off to King's Cross, and I hopped on a train and found myself a nice cozy little spot. I was sat at the back of a carriage, nice and near where I put my bag, and it was just 2 seats, and I had a nice view out of the window. And And then somebody sat in front of me and I was like, that person's really familiar. Why is that person so familiar? And then I text Katie and Amy and said, I think that Nathan's sock competition is sat in front of me on the train. Oh my God. And I was just sat there fangirling behind him in a probably rather creepy way. And they did text back and go, well, just say hello. Just, you know, tap him on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm going to Edinburgh Festival as well. And I went, no, it's a 5-hour train journey. I'm going to be very English about this and not talk to him. Which was ridiculous. So I sat behind him, cast on my Graham hat and just worked on that. So yeah, ridiculous, I know. I got there and I popped in a cab round to Katie's Airbnb where she was staying with her husband Emrys, who is an absolute darling. He's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you probably already know that from watching her podcast, but I can confirm that in real life, he's every bit as lovely. So there you go, it's always good to know, isn't it? I had a very chatty cab driver who told me pointed out lots of little things on the way round, that's always fun. And it was a really nice flat actually. Well done, Katie. And we just spent the evening just kind of chatting and knitting, and we got pizza and just had a really chilled out evening. And then the next morning we headed to the Yarn Festival. Now, first of all, drama at the Yarn Festival. Katie had pre-booked her ticket, so she went into the pre-booked line. Because I decided to go fairly last minute, I hadn't pre-booked, and neither had Emrys, so we kind of huddled in the pretty cold wind and just got chatting to some people, and we were just waiting. And then this guy came out and was like, if you can come back tomorrow, please do. And I'm just there like, I mean, I'm getting a train tomorrow. What am I gonna do? I'm standing here until I can get in. So yeah, there was like this like ripple of panic through this line of people just like, oh my God, what do you mean come back tomorrow? And that was like dramatic. Because the closer we got to the door, once we kind of got to the steps, this other guy came out. It might have been the same guy, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I didn't get to see the first guy that well, and they seemed to have the same suit on. Could have been the same guy, I don't know. But he came out and was like, you're all gonna get in. I'm sorry about the miscommunication. Like, you are all gonna get in. And we're just there like, honestly, you're just creating drama now, guys. Just creating drama. Just trying to create like this exclusivity, so we'll buy all the yarn. Like, we don't need encouragement, we're fine. So off we went when we finally got in, and we met Katie in the podcaster lounge where we met lovely Amy and Ellie, and it was so nice to see them because, you know, it's always great to see your yarny friends, it's always lovely. And then Katie and I and Emrys decided we were going to do a loop before we decided what we were going to buy. And obviously this loop, it took a while because, you know, when you're with Katie, everyone wants to stop and say hello, which is great. Gave me lots of browsing time, which I really appreciated. And yeah, so we went round and I made my first purchase at a yarn story, which were my Care needles. I knew that I wanted them, so there was no point kind of going around and coming back. I love a yarn story. I think the stuff they do is gorgeous. So yeah, I was quite happy to buy those from them. And then halfway around we bumped into Nathan, and I, being the chic, socially confident adult woman that I am, basically went, I sat behind you on the train all the way here. It was one of those moments where you hear yourself talking and you want to say, Nikki, shut up, just... And he was like, oh my God, why didn't you say hello? And I was like, I don't know, because I didn't want to be a creeper, I don't know, I thought it was weird. So yeah, he was really good about it, and like we went round a little bit with him. And we actually met him for lunch later on, which was really nice. He's an absolutely lovely guy, so talented, like crazy talented. And he's got this most amazing voice. Like, you can tell he's worked in the theatre, he's got one of those great voices. So yeah, I mean, fangirling all day long over here. We also bumped into Kristen of Villain Vine, who is every bit as gorgeous in real life as she is on her podcast. She's funny, she's smart, she's just so quick. And yeah, I loved her and was like, oh my god, can't believe I've met Villain Vine. And again, I had that like fangirl moment. There are a lot of fangirl moments at Edinburgh Festival this year, I'm not going to deny it, lots of fangirl moments. We then found the Isolde booth, and I say booth, but it was a pop-up shop. It was incredible. Like, you went in and you went up like a little disabled access kind of ramp, and then in, and she had an open plan section with all of her patterns out. There's a little covered section with just yarn everywhere. And then you went through to this next little room where it was all books, and there was a stand with lots of goodies in there, and then a bay window. So you could grab the books, sit in the bay window, have a look, decide if you wanted to get them or not, which I just thought was fantastic. And I actually went to Isolde's booth because I was hoping that she would have this thing of paper by Carrie Westerman. She didn't have it, but what she did have was my treat purchase. I fully went wanting the Lee needles to make my Selby mittens and this thing of paper. That was all I wanted, and I told myself that I would buy myself like one little treat thing, the thing that I had to have. One thing I really didn't want to do was buy something just because I've got to take something home, which is why I went with two very clear things in mind. But Isolde's booth really helped me get that one special purchase. So I was carrying around my Hufflepuff Cursed Child bag, and in here we have my purchases. So first of all, I saw on display stand this. I saw these when Isolde published them and I thought they were fantastic. They are so, so beautiful. And I am going to completely butcher this name. Millet, but they're her beautiful mittens with like this sort of star, snowflakey thingy motif on the tips of your fingers, and then around the band as well. So I picked this up because I do love a hard copy pattern, and it's got the Ravelry code on the back, which just makes me so happy because it means if I ever lose this, or if I scribble on it or drip tea on it or anything like that, I've still got the pattern. I really, really love when printed patterns, printed magazines do that. I think it's, oh, I just love it. I think it's just a great idea. So as I bought that at Isolde's booth, and I knew that I wanted to do them in these colours, I asked one of the amazingly helpful ladies there to help me find the colours. So there they are. It is my first Phenol PT2 Rama. And these are, I'm not actually sure which the colour is. I'm guessing this is colour number 1, this is for 20. And this is 90. This is actually, I don't know how it's showing up on camera, this is actually a very dark charcoaly navy. This is just the most glorious golden mustard. This is just really good cream. And they're quite toothy. They're not like, oh my god, so soft, so beautiful. But they're not at all like, oh, it's itchy, or anything like that. It's 100% Norsk ull, which I'm guessing means 100% Norwegian wool. I hope. Ellie, correct me if I'm wrong, please. But it feels really, really nice and rustic. I know that these are going to feel really beautiful on my hands. These are fingering weight. My Selby mitters are DK weights. This is probably kind of a jump, but I am going to get the Leica needles because I've really enjoyed working with them with the Selbus, and I'm going to get these cast on for me next winter because they're just beautiful and I really love them. And I think that this pattern, is just one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. And I've never actually knit an Isolde pattern. I've got some of her narwhal mitts and I've got a couple of her jumpers in my queue, but I've never actually knit one, so why not start with this? I also got to meet Isolde when I was paying. I was like, oh my god, hi Isolde, you're amazing. Because I'm just not cool, guys, and that's just what I do. If I see someone who I think is awesome, I will literally just be like, hi. And I hope you'll forgive me for that, because I was probably really weird, so I'm sorry. I then went and had a further nose into the Isolde booth, and that's when I spotted the table of goodies in front of the bay window. Do you remember last episode when I said I really wanted these and I couldn't afford to get them shipped over? Oh my God, look, I'm so excited. This is the Katrinkles stitchable sweater and mitten ornaments that, as I said, I've talked about before, and I found the shipping prohibitive. I still can't pronounce that word, so I'm just gonna go with it. But she had them, and I'm so excited. I kind of wish I got the socks as well, but I got mittens because that's what I'm working on at the moment. And I got the sweater because, of course, I'm just so happy, and I'm gonna stitch them. I am gonna save these for later in the year, and I'm going to stitch on them before we put them on our tree, and I'm just so happy to have them. They make me so happy. It's just fantastic. My last purchase was at the Die Ninja booth, and I got myself this thing of paper. I am about a quarter of the way through it. I flicked through and had a look at the patterns, as you do. They are gorgeous. They are absolutely beautiful. And there is a pair of mittens in here that I kind of think, well, it's always good to have 2 pair of mittens, just in case. So I may be casting on the Scriptorium mittens later. But mostly I've been reading this in the bath. Because her essays in this are absolutely wonderful. They're so thoughtful. Her intelligence, her intellect, her study really shines through. And it's just fantastic. And I really wish that I'd managed to catch her to get this signed, because I think that this work is something to be incredibly proud of. And yeah, I'm just stunned by it. I'm really looking forward to finishing reading it, and looking forward to casting on a couple of the patterns. I'll be honest, they're not massively my style. They are kind of more that vintagey kind of look, which I don't really wear. However, I do think that the accessories in particular, as I say, the Scriptorium mittens, there is a fantastic cow called the Letterpress cow, which I just think is chunky and delicious, and oh, I love it. And I would definitely make that. And there's some colour work hat and fingerless mitts, which again I really love. So I think I'm likely to knit quite a few of the accessories out of this, even if I don't knit the garments. But honestly, that doesn't bother me. I think it's such a beautiful thing to have. I really like the essays in it. So yeah, I will probably talk about this a bit more when I've finished it in Here Be Spoilers, so keep an eye out for that in a future episode. So that was all that I treated myself to. It was very much a tiny but mighty haul. As I said, I went very clear in my mind that I wanted some needles and I wanted the book, and then I would treat myself to something if I really wanted it, and I really did want those mittens. But I did receive a couple of gifts. So the lovely Sam, who I met through Nathan of Sockmatician, gave me this. I mentioned that I had been wanting this project bag for ages, that I'd already done a loop and I hadn't seen it, and he found me back at the Podcaster Lounge and went, I found it, and I went, oh my God, I have to go and get that, where did you get one? And he was like, no, this is for you, which was just so kind of him. This is from the Knitting Goddess, and this is probably where my mittens are going to live while I'm working on it. So yeah, this makes me giggle, and I'm looking forward to putting this into the bag rotation. And of course, my very dear friend Amy gave me one of her little minis, which will most definitely be going into my memories blankets very soon. For the time being, they will go in my little box of minis, which is completely overflowing. I have to stop. I must stop getting minis because I don't need any more. I just need to put them into the blankets and make space for more minis. So if I ever say I'm going to a yarn festival and I'm probably going to get minis, please stop me. Okay, I need an intervention. I have to stop. I have to knit at least 20 of them before I get any more, okay? I need you to hold me to that. I was then really pleased in the Podcaster Lounge when I was leaving. I was so tired. Obviously, I'd had a really big travel day the day before, and I hadn't slept well the night before Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I'm sure it's not just me that when you're the first or maybe 2 nights in a new place, it's really difficult to sleep well. So I was a bit tired, and obviously so much yarn, so many people, a lot of overstimulation. So I was quite tired when I kind of like got back to the Podcaster Lounge and was like, okay, I think we're gonna go. And I was so glad I did go back to the Podcaster Lounge because I met a couple of lovely viewers. one of whom I met last year. They didn't actually tell me that I could use their names on the podcast, so I hope you know that I'm referring to you. But I met one lovely viewer who I'd met last year, and it was so lovely to see you again. Thank you for sticking with me for another year. And her very sweet friend gifted me some minis. And, whoops, they're so gorgeous. Look how gorgeous they are. This, I think this is my favourite. I would like a jumper in this because it's like toffee and fudge and it's gorgeous. And then we've got my blues and greens that I love and a nice red. Yeah, so these are going into my Cozy Memories blanket as soon as possible because I just don't want them sitting in a box. I want them in my blanket. I want them all together because they look really good together, I think. So thank you for that. That was really, really kind of you. But yeah, thank you. So yeah, it was a crazy, crazy day. And then we headed back to the Airbnb and we settled down, both Katie and I kind of sleepily working on our crochet blankets. And then everyone arrived. We had a bit of a knit night and it was great fun. So many people came to this knit night and I'm kind of trying to picture the room in my head so that I can go around and name everyone, but I'm sure I'm going to miss someone. So I'm not going to say who came. Because I don't want to be rude and miss someone because I know that I will. But it was fantastic. Everyone kind of came and they all brought goodies and treats and snacks. And we all just kind of like curled up on the chairs on the floor. And we were chatting and just eating all the treats and drinking the wine and sharing what we bought at the Yarn Festival. And kind of going, are you going to be there tomorrow? Because, oh no, I'm going home. Are you going to be there? And yeah, it was so good. I think that for me was the highlight. The Yarn Festival was amazing, don't get me wrong, but that for me was the highlight. Just getting to hang out with people that I don't see very often, that I only ever talk to online, that I've never met before. And that's always the joy, I think, of a Yarn Festival. It's about meeting your community in real life and taking it all offline. And for me, the yarn, the buying, the kind of coming home with more for the stash, that's very secondary for me. That's probably because I live in a shoebox in London and I don't have the space. But yeah, it was just really lovely. And all these people that I followed online that I've never met before are all really lovely in real life and it was fantastic. We went to bed pretty much after everyone went. We were really, really tired. We hit the hay. And because I was so tired, I did actually sleep well the second night, which was fantastic. And the next morning we got up, we had a pretty lazy morning. And then Katie, Emrys and I went to a chocolate cafe for breakfast. Because they were just so lovely to let me stay that I had to go and treat them. It was just gorgeous. We got some pumpkin spice waffles and then we got a cookie jar waffles. And we got them all to share. And I want to say, guys, if you can go to this place, I can't remember the name, so I'm going to link it down below. But if you can go to this place while you're in Edinburgh, there's also one in Glasgow. I checked with my friend who lives in Glasgow. He says there is one there. If you can go to this place, get the pumpkin spice waffles. The cookie jar waffles, they were great, but the pumpkin spice waffles were life-changing. I have never tasted anything like that in my life. It was incredible. And with that, I got this hot chocolate with a spoon that was chocolate encased peanut butter, which I took a bite out of, and Katie was like, you're meant to stir it into your hot chocolate. And I was like, I just want to check that they put the peanut butter in there. So yeah, we all felt quite ill after that. Katie and Emrys walked me to the train station, which was very kind of them because it was snowing at that point. We all stopped to take a picture of the castle and randomly saw these chihuahuas being like walked down the road. There were like half a dozen of them, and it transpires it's because there's a chihuahua cafe in Edinburgh. So putting that on the list for next year. Love me a dog. Yeah, if I'd known there was a chihuahua cafe, I would have been there like a shot. But yeah, then I got on the train home and I had a little snooze and I did some knitting, and I'm not gonna lie, I got in and we had guests. Some friends had come to stay, and I basically ran in, got changed and ran out again for a birthday. It was snowing here in London as well, so I only stayed for an hour, and I got home, we all had a really nice meal together at the flat, and I have to admit I woke up sounding worse than this on Sunday. That was why I didn't put up an episode, why I didn't film on the Sunday, because I sounded horrendous. I think we all kind of came away with some varying degree of like snuffle or hoarseness. So yeah, I had a really lovely Sunday. I just hung out with my friends. They were all incredibly patient and oohed and ahed over my purchases, even though I think they would rather have been playing FIFA. But they were lovely about it, which I really appreciate. I think when the people that you love can express an interest in something in which they have no interest, those are the people you need to hang on to, because that's really sweet. That's really kind and sweet, because I was just there going, and then I met Soldier, and then I met Kristen, and I just met all these amazing people, and I can't believe it, and I met Nathan, he sat in front of me on the train, and they were just there going, okay, that sounds amazing. Wow. And it means nothing to them, it's going completely over their head. So I appreciate that. Shout out to our friends who always listen when we talk about yarn. But yeah, that's it for today. I'm gonna go and rest my voice. I probably need another hot drink. Rich, because he's an absolute darling, is making us a beautiful lamb curry for today, which I'm very much looking forward to. I'm sure all the spices are going to do me the world of good. I am going to clear up. I've said it before, I'll say it again, podcast trashes your flat, like it really does. So I'm gonna use it as an excuse to do a big tidy. And I'm hoping to get another podcast out next week. It is Easter weekend. We do have plans, but I'm hoping I can squeeze in some filming. But if not, I will see you very soon. Have a lovely, lovely couple of weeks. Have a lovely time till I see you. And I will see you very soon for another cup of tea. Take care. Bye.